Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Welcome to a Power Pack Brokerpreneur Byte. Get ready to dive into proven strategies for recruiting top talent, retaining your best agents, and skyrocketing sales in the next 10 minutes. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Ben Spears, along with our real estate guru, Matt Vi. Join us as we unravel the secrets to take your brokerage to new heights. Let's dive in.
So one of the numbers that we came across, and guys, I can't back this up. I got it from somewhere that I think is a relatively reliable place. And so trying to dig into it to understand that number, it said that almost 50% of the transactions were done by agents with less than 3 years of experience in the business.
What year is that? Do you know?
It was 2019.
Okay.
That must have been 2018. Must have been 2018. Couldn't have been 2019. Because this is something that comes out annually, and I just don't know that they would have had the 2019 one out yet. So this would have been in 2018. So less than 3 years of experience. Almost, it was like 47% of the business. I struggle with that number, right? Because I'm a big Pareto principle person. I struggle with that number whenever I read it. So I started tried to root around and tried to, figure out whether there was any truth behind it or whatever. But let's just say that number is more like a third, right? Let's say it's 33%. Instead of it being, I think that's the people that will get hit the hardest by the AI. I think those are the ones that will almost immediately get wiped out. So what does that mean for recruiting? So let's take a step back before we dig into these and make sure that we're all on the same page with some of what we're talking about here. Number one, change is always happening. It's always coming down, right? So the market's always shifting, the interest rates are always moving, the agent population is always shifting, the buyer pool is shifting, sellers and buyers market. Right now, one of the big things is there's a company that's trying to make a very strong entree into auctioning rent rates. Okay. Meaning that, so they say that there's a range and that it starts here, and then you auction how much you want to pay for that rent for that particular unit, right? So that makes sure you're getting pre-market value on it, right? Supposedly pre-market value on it. So all of those things are change, right? Those are all things that are shifting. Those are all things that are moving. I absolutely love it that there's innovation like that in the market. It doesn't mean that the real estate agent is going away. I just don't see that. But so number one is change is always happening. Number two is who are doing the transactions. I think the agents that are brand new in the business now and not becoming experienced in their transaction are absolutely at risk, especially over the next 3, 5, 7 years. Absolutely, I think that they're at risk. So let me point out another thing that I thought was really interesting that you and I talked about before we started.
Yep.
This is the first time in history that there are more active real estate agents than there are active listings.
Yeah.
Let your head wrap around that for just a second.
Yeah, that is insane.
It is.
Absolutely insane.
That's insane in the membrane. So what that means is that the market is so good. A lot of people are getting into the business, and a lot of people are jumping in and trying to become part of it and trying to make their way. Right now, part of this I also believe is because of the pandemic. I think that there are people that would not have normally gotten into real estate that have gotten into real estate because of it. That's also, there's companies like Third Pool and stuff like that, right? That they work primarily on helping people make those type of transitions in their from their business life, from what they were doing into getting into real estate and all that kind of stuff. And they attract them to that. So there's absolutely a lot of reasons why we are right here. I don't think that we're looking for a crash in the housing. I think that we're looking more at a crash in the role of a real estate agent collectively, not just AI, but the role of a real estate agent collectively, because we've got too many of them in the business. We're still doing a lot of transactions. It's not like we're not doing a lot of transactions.
Yep.
But I think that what's happening is the market is shifting at the same exact time that we have more agents that are in the business. We've got an economy that's shifting. We have interest rates that are historically low. All of those things are stacking up to being a difficult time for real estate agents that are not learning and experienced and skilled in the market. I think we're at a crossroads for that. And at the same time,
so from a recruiting standpoint, I'm just thinking about these things because all these numbers are pretty
I don't know. They're for someone like me, like I love patterns.
Right.
If there's an abundance of agents, if nearly 50% of transactions are done by or completed or closed by agents, yeah, if the number's true, even if it's 30%,
Right.
by agents with 3 years or less of experience, does that change who you're looking at from a recruit? Because all brokers, everyone that we talk to, we work with, they're like, I really want experienced agents. Give me those people who are experienced and they don't ask a lot of questions. They know what they're doing. Does that change? Do you think to yourself, like, there's so many agents out there? I would immediately go to, okay, if there's so many, I want to start cherry picking these experienced ones. But do you also say, oh gosh, some sources say half the deals are done by people with less than 3 years of experience. Mm-hmm. So do I want to go with after those people? What becomes your target market at this point?
Question. Yeah, great question. It has to be the mindset of the agent, which makes it that much more important for you to be recruiting very intentionally in what you're doing in your business. So I do think it's new agents that are getting into the business that you want, that are coming from another industry. Absolutely. I think that's part of it. Absolutely. I think it's some people that have been in the business 10 or 15 years that are looking to, so let me tie a couple of things together here. Okay.
Okay.
The people that have been put a bow on it. There you go. The people that have been in the business for a while, at some point, if they're truly doing what they're supposed to be doing, at some point they're going to have a sphere of influence. They're going to have a database that has some value to it. Right. They're going to want to sell that to someone else. They're going to want to pass that along to another person and be able to make revenue off of it, right? The days of agents just making a whole bunch of money and then just one day getting out of the business and holding on to their 2 or 3 rental properties, I just don't see that. I just don't see that being that way anymore. What I see is that there are people that have relationships that have cultivated them, that put time, effort, energy, money into growing a certain relationship and a certain place in other people's lives when it comes to real estate. I see that having a value. So let me say this too, and I'm trying not to get all over the place. This is an exciting topic to me. If you can't tell, I love talking about this.
Yeah, you're all giddy. He's all giddy, guys.
I am giddy. So look at it like this. You have a lot of big tech companies and you have a lot of people that write articles about tech and data and all that kind of stuff that are really like, oh, that's the solution. What's going to happen is those big tech companies are gathering all this data and that data is what's going to allow them to make informed decisions, and artificial intelligence is really going to learn how to dig in and really pick when somebody's getting ready to make a move and they had a life change and all that kind of stuff. That's the shit that real estate agents have been doing. Good real estate agents have been doing for years.
Yeah.
There are databases that have real key indicators in them. And there are agents that have been tracking, and they're selling on the second and third generation of people because they keep up with the weddings. They keep up with who graduated from college. They keep up with who went to law school and who was in the same sorority together and who was in the same, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. They keep up with it.
Yeah.
If you appreciate big data, and if you think AI is really going to come in and change everything and take everything over, then you have to equally appreciate the database of those agents that have been doing this, that have been gathering this information live, face to face with people for years. So which would you rather have? The live face to face data or the raw data that's gathered like what Zillow gathers, right? Zillow is fantastic at gathering data. Don't get me wrong. Yep. But it's very abstract in how they gather it, right? And they're very smart about how they analyze it. But I'd rather have the data from the agent that was at the wedding, not the one that somehow totaled the receipt that came out of the registry of whatever it was, right? I want the person that was there. I want the person that bumped into those other people. I want the person who's in the pictures with the people that were in the wedding party.
Yeah. So the person who was talking to the other 100 possible home buyers and sellers at the party.
Absolutely. Gathering that data. So you can't say gathering data is important, but it's not important the way that the real estate agent is gathering it, because it is. Yeah. So that 15, 20, 30 year in the business agent, if they've been doing what they're supposed to, they need to be taking that data and passing it along to these new people that are coming in the business that have that right mindset, that have that real way of looking at their business, that have that real way of thinking about the business, that is going to allow them to grab onto that data, plus gather new people, plus be intentional about how they do business with the people that they know. And that's going to allow them a very solid entree into a long-term business that at one point they'll sell to somebody else too.
Yeah.
So if you're recruiting, what you're looking for is you're looking for people that see that big picture. Okay. So now you can't just data dump, right? We talked about logic bullies before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. So you can't sit down in an interview with somebody and dump all that on them.
Yeah.
But you can have some set questions that talk to them about forecasting and planning and how do they see themselves, and do they think that gathering information is important, or are they a very transactional person? You can ask those questions, and I don't care whether they're brand new in the business or 25 years in the business. Both of them have a role if there's somebody that cares about the data that is attached to the people that they're doing these transactions with. That's going to be how that person wins in the long run. And that's going to be how those experienced agents are allowed to make money that they haven't been able to before, is because they can pass that database along.